Well, my name's Víctor, and my story starts off in Mexico. I was born in Reynosa, Tamaulipas, and then once I was probably around 2 years and a half, I got taken to Pomona, California. My parents are Christians, they're pastors, and basically they wanted to start their ministry in Pomona, and that was the reason why we went there. We had everything legal, we had our passports, our visas. So I went to kindergarten, went to Madison Elementary School in Pomona. After that, went to Fremont Middle School, and then ended up in Gary High School. Once I took off from Pomona, my parents decided to move to Rawlins, Wyoming, where when I was a sophomore, and that was the first time that I could recall somewhat of a culture shock, because back in Pomona, it was a big city, you have everything there. You have diversity, you have people that just like you. And then you go to a town where, it's super small. And when I got there, I was the only Hispanic in school. But basically, that's where my first experience of discrimination and racism started. It wasn't really much the way I spoke. To me, it was the way I looked, because I was the only brown kid. Some of them were really cool, they were like, oh, we're glad you're from Cali. But then some others, they were just, what I call them is haters. Once I left Rawlins, that's where everything started, because when I first started drinking, I was 15, and that's when my son was born. I have a 13-year-old son. I went to a party. His mom was 23 years old, and I was 15 at the time. It was one of my first parties ever. And one thing led to another, and basically my son was born. His name is Gavin, and the reason why I mention him is because the situation that I am in right now, it's really not easy for me to see him. After he was born, I basically got myself into trouble. I started drinking heavily and went to a bar. And once I was at the bar, I got in a bar fight and fractured a guy's skull with his eye socket. I basically got charged with assault and battery and attempted murder, which to me was just really pathetic, because if that would have happened in Pomona, it could have been probably different. That's when I thought the whole racist came in, because the judge, he was really harsh. Basically what happened is that he sentenced me to a 5 to 10 year prison sentence. Once I was inside, they gave me the opportunity to join any military branch, they said. And just because of your age, you'll have the possibility to clear your record. And so I was right on. Where do I sign? Basically what ended up happening was I went to boot camp, and once they started bringing in the tools, night vision goggles, basically that's what ruined it. I have in Spanish, I'm going to say it in Spanish because I can't really pronounce the word in English. It's called achromatopsia, which is an eye condition where you don't see color. And just because of that, I got medically discharged. Basically what ended up happening, I ended up in Memphis. That's where inside the penitentiary system I noticed a lot of worse racism and discrimination. And being in a town where now it's not white people, now it's a lot of black folks. And now within the penitentiary system, you have to defend your race, even though you don't know your race, even though you were never a gangster. You're stereotyped and you're labeled as one of them just because you wear khaki dickies or something. And so they told me, they said, well, you can be in the ICE detention center and fight your case, or you can go back home. That's what they said. I basically said, let's sign and go. I don't want to stay in no detention center. I want to go find out for myself. Once I got to Mexico, everything was different. You show up and you don't know how to speak their language. People here make fun of your Spanish. And having to start over really, really affects your whole mentality. And then coming alone, no support, just completely by yourself. That can really get to you. It's really different, because even your own family, they're like, well, you chose to leave. I didn't choose to leave. It was a forced decision. My experience, first depression got to me really, really bad. Not seeing my son for a while, and now having to see my son over a screen, I would consider it as a wall, a glass. I still can't touch him. But the only thing I can say now is just I'm kind of thankful. I'm really, really thankful for the experience in the first place that my parents gave me and the education that I got, because without that, my life would have been hell. Kept my head up, knowing that one day I'm pretty sure that I'll see my family again. And I just hope that this can reach people that can hopefully understand, hopefully comprehend. It's not something simple when you get in a situation where you get to a country with a plastic bag full of your documents and just $10 in your pocket. And not all of us are bad people. Not all of us were raised with that whole drug scene, cartel environment that Mexicans are so labeled as. And I'm just thankful because this experience has really shown me a lot, and I hope that I can make a difference.